We have already talked about French, English, and German influences in the Dutch language, but there are also a lot of Latin influences in the Dutch language, and this lesson is all about that. Hallo lieve vrienden. So there's a lot of Latin in the Dutch language, and that is the original Roman Latin. So you will also find these words and acronyms in the English language and also in other languages, but certainly also in the Dutch language. Let's start with the first one, AD. That is, of course, about the counting of the years, the calendar, right? So AD is Anno Domini, which means after Christ. We say it as na Christus. So, for instance, this event happened 100 years AD. Deze gebeurtenis was 100 jaar na Christus. We also have BC, which is before Christ, for Christus. Then the word ad hoc, that is used very often in common language. So ad hoc means separate things that are non-structured, right? So if you say, I have some ad hoc jobs that I do on a daily basis, ik doe verschillende ad hoc klusjes. Then ad interim, abbreviated as AI. So I am an ad interim director of this company. Ik ben een ad interim manager van dit bedrijf. And often is also just pronounced as interim. I am an interim manager. Ik ben een interim manager van dit bedrijf. Then, bona fide and mala fide. Right, so that is a trustworthy company or a non-trustworthy company. Dat is een betrouwbaar bedrijf, dat is een bona fide bedrijf, dat is een mala fide bedrijf. An untrustworthy company. The word bonus, that is a Latin word. So, at the end of this year we all get a bonus. Aan het einde van dit jaar krijgen we allemaal een bonus. CQ, that means casu quo, and that is used if you're naming sequential stuff, right? So, like and or. For instance, this message is sent per letter, CQ, per email. Deze boodschap wordt verstuurd per brief, CQ, per e-mail. The word casus, that is in English case, right? So in Dutch we say casus. So I'm working on this case. Ik werk aan deze casus. And also often I hear the mistake that the plural form is in Dutch pronounced as casussen. But actually the correct plural of casus is cases. Consensus, we are seeking consensus. Wij zoeken consensus. Cum laude is when you are graduating, right? So he graduated cum laude. Hij is cum laude afgestudeerd. Then, curriculum vitae, that you will send when you are applying for a job. So the abbreviation for that is of course CV. So please send us your CV. Stuur ons je CV toe. Idem dito, that is the same. So if you would say, Peter, you had a perfect score, and Sarah, idem dito. Peter, je hebt een perfecte score, Sarah, idem dito. And also the term vice versa is used in the Dutch language, but it's pronounced as vice versa. Then pro forma. So if you are sending a pro forma invoice, ik stuur een pro forma factuur. So that is like a concept. The expression linea recta means straight to a target. So that is sometimes used by parents who order their children to come straight back home, right? So after you've done that, come straight home. Nadat je dat hebt gedaan, kom linea recta naar huis. The word nihil means nil, right? Or zero. So the result of last quarter is zero. Het resultaat van het afgelopen kwartaal is nihil. Then PS, of course, postscriptum is used at the end of a letter. And Persona non grata means that someone is not wanted anymore. So he has been fired and is now an unwanted person. Hij is ontslagen en is nu een persona non grata. Stante pede means immediately, and that is sometimes used when someone is fired immediately, right? They did something horribly wrong. Maybe they stole from the employer and then they will be fired. Stante pede. Hij is stante pede ontslagen. And there is also a Dutch expression for that, and that is op staande voet, which is the literal translation of stante pede. And the final one is status quo. So we are staying at the status quo. Wij houden het op de status quo. Do you know some more examples of Latin expressions or abbreviations that are used in the Dutch language? Please let us know in the comments. If you have something to ask or to add, please also let me know in the comments. And if you haven't already, like and subscribe so you will keep up with all these daily lessons. I'll see you in the next one.